Hello there folks, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, a place where I discuss different topics, usually about spirituality and introspection, and from time to time game analysis, taking several projects and just going through them to analyze different details and well send them to their designers, along with some positive and constructive criticism, because I love breaking things in small details and presenting opinion on each and possible improvements, okay, that one can bring to their own project without of course imposing those on the person. So if you find yourself working towards a video game or a movie or some project that I can easily understand, feel free to send me a link to it, and well, I'll see what I can understand of it and present a point of view from a designer perspective. Okay, so all this being said, well, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while again since I posted. Now, regarding my channel, this is not gonna be a channel in which I will post necessarily daily. I will try to post at least once a week, usually far more than that, but I'm again having periods of highs and lows. And well, for a while I've just felt I needed to take a break. uh, I've been still working on my video game. I'm uh, kind of well ditching a bit the part of actually postponing, not ditching, the part of the game in which I'm handling the AI, and I'm just bringing back to life some of the old events since I changed most of the file names, since I had a lot of white spaces in them, and after renaming them to no longer have white space, I need to change each and every entry in my events so that I can actually use the songs and the pictures I have, and yes, the avatars, whatever. And well, it's something that I kind of enjoy because I don't mind going back through my events again, and well, I'm keeping up with it. Now, the topic of this video is a point about creation, and well, I decided to call this video, like a little calling to all people calling themselves Christian. Okay. Now, I'm not against Christianity nor any other religion, but the request of this video is don't be unconscious like creation is. Okay. Now, why would creation actually be unconscious? Because many people might actually ask themselves why that would be so, because to create such enormity, right, the whole universe and all its possibilities, one can only believe that such complexity can only be created through consciousness, okay? But the point is, it is only creatable through unconsciousness, because that is where simply no limitation exists. Where there is consciousness, subjectivity will kick in sooner or later, at least to a certain extent. And where there is subjectivity, okay, where there is interpretation, because consciousness is in a way explicitly interpreting something based on own perceptions, okay. Creation doesn't have a perception. So the point is, you people who believe in your own creators, okay, whatever name and shape they have, if you think for a split second that the creator is aware of your existence, you are fully wrong of it. Mainly because creation, as I said, is unconscious. It is not conscious of anything that it is creating. It is just an impulse, a flow. And everything that is brought into existence simply is brought into existence. And everything that is no longer into existence, well, it simply fades out of existence due to different factors. But the aspect of creation is fully unconscious because there is no subjectivity to it. Whatever comes out, comes out. Because creation is different not only in the multitude of species and races, but also in the multitude of individuals, and also in the components of the individuals, and also in the components of those components. And, well, materially speaking, it goes as far and as deep as 11 different dimensions, okay? Because even even physics, okay, the modern approach to physics, okay, quantum physics, says that um, the brain functions on 11 different levels of perception, okay, which in ancient sciences, okay, it was already said that everything which is material seems to have 11 different dimensions, okay. Now the point about creation is it creates in far more dimensions than these, okay. And considering we humans only see even less than 1% of the visual spectrum of light, then comes a big question. What why is it that so many people believe that what they see and what they feel, smell, what they perceive with their own senses is the only thing that is? Well, mainly because of identification. Okay, when people become identified with what they consider as themselves, okay, that becomes a bit problematic because they will automatically limit themselves. And this is again another aspect of unconsciousness, okay? Because if people are conscious of their life, okay, one cannot simply let their mind wander, okay? Questions like who is God, what life is, all these questions come from an unconsciousness, okay? Because all these questions exist because those who ask those questions are simply missing the aspect of life. They are not sensing the life and everything and every little process that is going around them. They are just aimlessly wandering. And unfortunately, this is also a creation of religion. Okay, I am not saying religion is or would be evil, but in many situations it has been used so, okay, with a necessity, okay, because of some people's insecurity. It was required that other people become ignorant so they be easily controlled, okay, easily manipulated. Why? Because when some people feel insecure, they need a sense of control over others, so they will most likely use any possibility. And the idea of ignorance is even further promoted nowadays because the more ignorant you are, it seems that society will, favor you more and more. Because there's also the quote that says ignorance is bliss. Now, when people say ignorance is bliss, no one asks themselves how come, okay, whose bliss that is, because, well, blissfulness is the complete opposite of ignorance, okay. Ignorance cannot be blissful because to be blissful you have to be aware of the things around you, okay. But when you are ignorant, you're basically accepting everything within you without discernment, but at the same time you're running away from the responsibility, okay. This means an immense amount of karma, because what karma was defined as, okay, is memory, okay, the memory of deeds and whatever you have done, but at the same time the wheels keep spinning, okay. So the idea of dissolving karma is to, even if you create karma, okay, when the repercussions come, one will be accepting them willingly instead of suffering because of those, okay. Because if people sit in suffering, okay, if people live through suffering, then they will create a lot of traumas, okay. They will create a lot of drama, a lot of things, and couple that with all sorts of other bits of ignorance that they acquire, okay, like religion and such. Some people actually end up believing that they are some god favored, okay, or god chosen, which again is problematic because that will create even more suffering, okay, not to those but to others as well. Creation never suffers because it is not conscious, okay, and unconscious as it is also in its unconsciousness fully detached from everything that exists in this world, okay. Now when it comes to unconsciousness in humans, okay, the problem with this is that people give too much meaning to things, and unfortunately they do it in an unconscious way, which means that so many things will be labeled even without wanting, because when people become ignorant, they will simply always pick the easiest path, because the easiest path is basically the most comfortable. What people may not understand is that unconsciousness equals to comfort seeking, okay? Because when you seek comfort, okay, you're basically interested in following the basic instincts, okay, the basic principles okay? And the instinct to seek comfort exists in all animals. But if you look at animals, no animal is ever calm, okay? Because, well, they might enjoy a happy meal, okay? Not the McDonald's one necessarily, but they might enjoy, a meal, and they might feel, the pleasure of a satiated belly. But the point is, they might find, comfort in the fact that they have eaten, but they will never ever find comfort in the aspects of life, because animals, all animals except humans, well, humans also, but humans are the only animals that can transcend this. Animals, okay, outside humans, okay, they only live in their survival instincts, okay? That is the reason why their senses, for example, are so superior to human senses, okay? Because constantly focusing on their survival, okay? Animals, the only comfort they may enjoy is the comfort of a satiated belly. But the trouble arises and is constantly risen in the fact that there's always a possible danger, okay? The danger might not necessarily be there, but since animals always live in survival instincts, anything that happens around them can be and usually is interpreted as a possible danger. If someone or something happens around an animal, you will see that it will quickly look there, scanning the area for any possible danger. So that is why animals are always alert, okay? There is that sense that there is always some danger lurking around. When it comes to humans, it's the same thing if they choose to live in this aspect, okay? And, well, eventually, the point is, creation never meant us to live only in suffering. But the point is, there was a time when these ideas started being promoted, and people, out of a lack of something to do, they simply embraced those ideas, and then they started imposing and imposing and imposing them on the next generation, and the more suffering they created in unconsciousness, okay, through unconsciousness, okay, the more suffering they created to the next generations would create even more on the other one. So thinking of this, humanity has a huge, and I repeat, humanity has a huge karma when it comes to this, okay, a huge amount of suffering that has been promoted through unconsciousness, because in unconsciousness it's always the worst thing to assume responsibility. Everything that gives you the slightest pain must be simply um, moved away from, okay? It's always fight or flight. So in unconsciousness, assuming responsibility is the greatest pain you can actually take. Therefore, it's always someone else's fault. Someone else has to do your things, and people always end up believing that they are some kind of God favored, that they are, immortal, because they are missing the whole points of life. Okay? They are not knowledgeable of the fact that everything is fleeting in this world. So the point about creation is, well, creation was meant, okay, to be unconscious. Okay, you don't have to be unconscious like it. Okay, when you become conscious though, through consciousness, okay, becoming aware of things, okay, everything will be shaped based on your own perceptions, okay, because some people might see different, some people might see colors differently. Something may be green for everyone if they look at those leaves, unless, well, someone experiences daltonistic disturbances, although I wouldn't call daltonism a disturbance. It is a different way of perceiving colors, yes, but I wouldn't call it a disturbance. You see, when you call something a disturbance, that is an aspect of consciousness, of awareness, of interpretation. Because if you are using awareness unconsciously, you will always interpret, because you will create a lot of meaning. Meaning can also be created consciously, and it will be created consciously because you need a sort of meaning to use your mind, because the mind only needs meaning to function. That is why, for unconscious people, the more meaning they give to their mind, the more they think they know, right? That's how, well, simple-minded people actually think. And in psychology, it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, right? The less you know, the more you think you actually know. So the point about unconsciousness, okay, unconsciousness is meant to be so because creation shouldn't be bound by literally any limit, okay? Just like many people are doing, unfortunately, nowadays to art. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, being a member of a digital art group on Facebook, okay, I get to see a lot of people, coming up with very awesome pieces of art, okay, and from time to time I cheer some of them because, well, only from time to time because I don't spend time on, social media. And the point about that is when you look at certain people, you will usually see a certain trend, okay, a certain pattern, okay, because people end up usually creating a style of their own, which is basically a pattern, okay, be it conscious or unconscious, okay. When it comes to life, okay, the point about that is, well, there will always be patterns, okay, especially if unconscious, okay. When people are unconscious, well, there will always be patterns, okay, and usually there will be one which is rigorously supported, okay, and backed up and reinforced, okay. When it's about conscious creation, okay, there will also be patterns, but they might actually fluctuate. Some people usually create, drawings based on a certain specific style. Others simply juggle through different, and they are still finding theirs, or well, they have found several styles which they feel very comfortable with. Okay, because to a certain extent, everything resumes itself to comfort. Okay, that is why it is also said, in order to become more successful, you need to simply go beyond the idea of a self-imposed comfort zone. Okay. Now the point about life as is. Okay, life as it is represented by patterns in a way, because when you look at people, conscious or not, they will always have patterns, because a pattern is an aspect of interpretation. An interpretation is usually a result of a certain ego, and for any action that one would take in this world, they need a certain ego. In order to impress someone, you need a certain ego. In order to speak to your best friend X, you need a certain ego. In order to speak to your best friend Y, you need a different ego, right? In order to address any of your parents, you probably need a different ego. In order to do a certain project that you don't like, you need a certain ego. In order to do a project or something that you really like, again, you need a different ego. Too much connotation and meaning has been accorded to things, especially the idea of the ego, and many people believe this aspect of the ego as something evil, okay? And to a certain extent, there is this blame, okay, that can be easily put to religions, that things are, bad and good, okay? There is always this discrepancy, okay? And this again culminates in unconsciousness, okay, because in unconsciousness, okay, everything will instantly be divided, because when people embrace unconsciousness, okay, they become fully absorbed with who they are, so therefore everything and everyone else is different, okay. That is why you have so many sick people nowadays believing that they are someone on this planet, which is kind of cuckoo if you ask me, because this planet is nothing but a speck of dust in the solar system, which is a speck of dust in the galaxy, which is a speck of dust compared to some other galaxies, or, well, let's say the universe itself. Okay? So, also, this universe can be a speck of dust, in the realm of uh, creation, okay? And all the possibilities of creation. So believing that you're something big on this planet is kind of dope in a way. I mean, fully, specifically, it is dope because, well, everything is so fleeting on this planet and life is so fleeting that, when people would definitely become, surely become conscious, okay, they will instantly realize there is little to no time to simply, waste on so many of these ideas, okay, like, hey, I'm actually, this important, okay, but, all this separation that has been promoted, okay, through ignorance, not necessarily religion. That's one thing that went well because of people accepting gladly to be ignorant, because there is a certain sense of strength in ignorance, because you don't have to do anything, and it's always so easy to put the blame on others, right? It's always so easy to not be the one at stake, to not be the one whose fault would actually be, right? It's actually a crime to even say that someone would be, you know, responsible or should be held responsible for certain acts, okay? So the point about this is, well, the point of creation is it just creates. Think about creation just like your mind, okay? The mind is nothing else than an engine of creation. So the point about the mind is, okay, it is an engine of creation, but people, again, they don't know how to control their mind. Now the problem is, the question is, why would you want to control your mind? Okay, because you're actually controlling the mind, but people want to shut it down because again they can't control their mind. Okay, now the mind is a piece, as I call it, an engine of creation. It can only create. You don't have to worry about shutting down your mind because it will shut down when you perish. Okay, when one detaches from the body. Okay, the physical body being left behind, the mind simply remains there. That is why discarnate beings, most of them, simply don't have a discerning mind. All they do is they act on impulse. That is why thought forms and demons and whatever else you can think of, they all act on a certain impulse based on their own perception, okay, based on their own vibration. Okay, so it's not that the demons are consciously attacking you like you might see in movies or something like that. Okay, it's because they simply feel that they can. Okay, and instinctively they will simply act. Okay, there is no remorse, there is simply no emotion in that. They have a certain emotion which is tied to their vibration, but well, they will simply act unconsciously, okay, and impulsively, because these two words, unconscious and impulsive, okay, these two are actually perfect synonyms. Okay, when it comes to ignorance being promoted, that is basically the worst crime ever, because creation never meant us to be ignorant, okay? Because ignorance is like suicide, okay? Because when you accept ignorance, you're technically conducting a suicide. Now, you're not terminating the physical body, so you're probably going to say what kind of suicide that is. Well, it is a mental suicide because through ignorance, okay, you are refusing to evolve. Why do you think there are so many people who are, uh, against evolution? And, constantly forgetting that, hey, technically, evolution and change, those are, well, basically perfect synonyms, and at the same time, each is the only constant in this world, okay? The only constant in this universe is change. Everything is subject to change, and if you don't embrace change, well, you will be crushed by the coming waves of change, sooner or later. Okay? Because as humans, you might be stubborn enough to not want to change things in your society, but the planet moves on. It doesn't care about your society, okay? It will just crumble and go, right? It will be replaced by others, okay? Because if you embrace laziness, like so many empires have fallen because of this, right? Because of ignorance. They reached a state in which they thought they were almighty, okay? So powerful, and well, it's not like they would have fallen out of, the grace of creation. No, creation doesn't have any emotion or care or anything towards what it creates, okay? What is created is also given the tools necessary to keep existing, okay? But well, if it chooses to ignore those tools, well, it will suffer some consequences. Now those consequences are not like a punishment necessarily, okay? It's just that if you simply no longer wish to live, okay, someone else will simply bump into your house, and seeing that you simply ignore everything, they will take whatever they can, right? That's what happened with many empires. They refuse to assume responsibility for so many things, and well, if you don't take responsibility for things, they will start crumbling surely and slowly. Why? Because, well, with creation, there's also something that is called entropy. Okay, now entropy is a sign of chaos, okay, because chaos is the opposite of order. Now, the idea of order and chaos, okay, these are again things that are seen as good and, bad, okay, or actually bad and good respectively, or wait, chaos and order, yes, bad and good respectively. Why? Because, well, people would want actually uh, this idea of order, but this is one of the most beautiful lies of society, because think about it, ignorant people can never be ordered, okay? They can never be orderly because they are ignorant. They can't care about anything. They're just committing suicide slowly and surely, okay? It's not that they're shooting themselves in the head. No, it's they're just chipping small little wounds in their wound, okay, so that they bleed a little, and then they wait for the wound to heal so that they can carve it again slowly and surely. That's how ignorance is. You're ignoring your mind, so therefore all your thoughts. And ignorance means accepting things without discernment, okay? You're ignoring your wife or your spouse, let's say your spouse, but they're in your mind all the time. You're ignoring those teachers who annoy you the most, but they're again in your mind all the time. At times you might be so ignorant that you're not even aware that those things are constantly in your mind. Okay, that's how dangerous uh, ignorance is. It is a kind of death, okay, because even sleep, when you go to sleep, it is a sort of death. That is why I say that life is cyclical. When you go to sleep, you technically die and then you wake up again. Okay, it's not a fully fledged death, the aspect when you completely leave your body, okay? But when you sleep, again, the point is your awareness is simply reduced, okay? And when your awareness is reduced, that is a technical death, okay? Because when you're not aware of anything around you, you're technically not alive, okay? Which is also the problem of unconsciousness. When you are ignoring everything, okay, well, you're technically dead because, well, your awareness is simply dumbed down. The more you dumb down your awareness, the less you are technically alive. The more you become aware of everything around you, the more still you become, because you are constantly more focused on everything that is going inside of you, okay? Because the more dead you become on the inside, you will instantly look for things, to fill your existence on the outside, okay? And that is why ignorance is always so focused upon, okay? That is why ignorance is so wanted, because when you believe that everything within you is just null, okay, but you're making it null through ignoring it, okay, then you will constantly be seeking for things and approval outside, okay, because you will think that, well, the only meaning that exists, and well, this is also true, the only meaning that exists is that which you place outwards, okay, because on the inside you are technically nothing, okay, you are one with creation, okay, you are actually an extension of creation. You are just a security camera which simply records certain things based on certain limitations of sensors, okay? Well, a snake can perceive different things that a human may not. A human may perceive things that a snake may not. Okay, and this goes on with each and every piece of creation, okay? And again, going beyond individuals, okay? Going beyond race and, species, okay? Goes beyond into the genders, it goes beyond into the individuals, okay? Because uh, I don't know about animals, but when it comes to humans, okay, even women have a different set of perceptions, okay? Some perceptions are more acute than men, okay, because they are more in tune with certain cycles of the world. Now, when it comes to creation, okay, now creation, again, as I've been saying, it is unconscious, but it is unconscious for a reason, okay? It creates without discernment, without judgment, okay? It's exactly like the mind. What you put into your mind is exactly what it will bring out. So all the thoughts and emotions that you have are nothing else than what you have been feeding your mind with, directly or indirectly, and most likely you have forgotten that you have fed your mind with that. But the unconscious mind never forgets anything, okay? The unconscious mind that we have, okay, is nothing else than the black box of your existence, you know? Every aircraft has a so-called black box, which is made out of something so tough it won't break even on the roughest landings, okay? Or crashes. So the point is, that is the first thing that is thought when it comes to, a certain aircraft crashing, Okay, when a certain aircraft crashes, the black box is always looked for because it stores everything that the aircraft has uh, recorded. Okay, now to think that what you focus on doesn't expand, as most of these, New Age spiritualists say, only your awareness about it expands, because the more you focus on something, okay, the more perceptive you make yourself become. Okay, say that you love certain flowers. Okay, well, your point of interest will only be on the flowers. So any city and any town you go to, you are always gonna be focused on the flowers instead of, cars or anything else. Okay, if a certain person likes muscle cars, for example, their attention will always be shifted upon that. Okay, and focusing on those, they will simply disregard anything else. Does that mean that the unconscious mind doesn't record those? Well, no. The unconscious mind records everything, but the conscious mind can only process a very little bit of those. So basically, and well, consequently, the conscious mind will only make you aware. Okay, because even in unconsciousness there is still a small bit of awareness, because even unconscious people are at least a bit aware of what they are seeing, at least, because, well, sight is the greatest sense that we have, and 90% of the information that we acquire usually through our sight. Okay, so the point is, well, at any given moment in time, okay, you're simply absorbing literally everything. You're always absorbing energy, which is basically information, okay, through what we breathe, through what we see, through what we hear, through what uh, we also perceive, because there are senses beyond the five that we physically have. And there are the so-called, which is, there is a sense which I call the magnetic sense. Okay, this magnetic sense is basically exchanges that go in between, let's say wavelengths, okay, or how a certain person's aura makes you feel. Okay, not saying aura, the auric field specifically, but everyone has this kind of field around them that presents so many things about them, and also their story, their history, okay, is included in there, and also past lives are included in there. But just looking at a person's aura's color, okay, simply doesn't tell anything. Okay, so don't rush and believe everything that is being told about that, because some people say that, well, if someone has a green aura, okay, then it means that they are loving. No, that means a certain thing, but it means too many things. There are too many variables, okay, that conduct to that aura looking that specific color. Okay, so don't rush in analyzing auras. Okay, it simply doesn't tell anything to people, especially if you don't know how to read auras. And to read auras, one needs to have a very profound understanding of how energy and also their body work, okay, together. So does actually creation want to see you like this, like the way you are? Well, I doubt God wants you to be a fanatic over them, okay? But at the same time, God simply can't judge you because, well, God and whatever other gods and creations people have made up, because, well, every animal, okay, once they would become conscious, okay, so stepping out of unconsciousness, okay, and we humans have also been unconscious until a certain age, okay, or a stage, let's say, was reached in our development when we suddenly became capable of more than unconscious existence, okay, and not living life fully enough. All sorts of questions started appearing, right? Like, why is this world like this? Why is it like that? Who made all these creations? Because most definitely we haven't created this, right? So all these questions usually end up in believing that there is something else like you, but much bigger than you, okay? So imagine that if a cow would become conscious, it will definitely think that, you know, there is a big buffalo or a big cow out there, okay, that made everything possible. Okay, this usually stems from still the very powerful unconscious existence, okay, and the unconscious attachment towards what you think you are, okay, and towards the shape that you have, because, well, when you become conscious, one of the first traps of consciousness is, well, you believe that everything is somewhat like yourself. Okay, that is why so many unconscious people have this belief, okay, that everything is like you, okay, everyone else thinks like you, and everyone else believes like you, okay. That is why also a reason why you know uh, regimes that follow by function by everyone being the same, that is one reason why such regimes can actually go very well, okay, because in unconsciousness people will always have this instinct that everything is somewhat like them because of identification with their persona, okay, and persona is basically a mask, okay, and it becomes personality only when the mask can no longer be removed, so therefore you are absorbed by who you think you are, okay. So the point is, why do you think society has personality development, okay? Development means to create from zero, and personality is when your persona, basically your ego, or basically a creation that you use for a specific reason, simply becomes who you are, okay. It's no longer a mask that you simply can put down. Nope, it's simply stuck to your face, okay. Why do you think there is personality development? Well, this only goes to show how sick society is, okay. Basically it is teaching you how to finesse yourself even further, or technically society is adapting citizens, okay, and people to simply suit the needs of so-called society, okay. Now, do you think creation actually would judge you when you go beyond? Well, this was used as a means of control in, well, Christianity. All the karma that has been created because of this suffering, this feeling of uselessness, that, there is this white bearded fuck up there in the sky that has nothing else to do than simply watch Earth TV and see what humans specifically, and only humans, are doing, okay, and simply gruesomely judging you by any and every action that you take, okay. This has created a lot of shame in people, and hence the reason why they are feeling so many blockages in their throat and in their belly, because shame is a natural and physical reaction of the body to a certain stimuli, a set of stimuli, or a certain stimulus if it is only one. Why? Well, that's how it works, okay. It is not an emotion. Shame is not an emotion. It is a physical reaction of the body to a certain stimulus. And of course, when you create people that live by shame, and they are ashamed of literally everything that they are, and they are afraid of doing something because of failure, consider it this, that for at least 1,000 years of, Europeans' Christianity, okay, at least 1,000 years, this has caused so much pain, okay, in Europe. And all this karma, okay, in time was spread through the whole world because Christianity has simply, demolished any sense of the feminine, okay, any sense of feminine energy. So in the lack of such energies, okay, the European countries simply became conquerors, and as you can see, many of the Western countries actually became empires, okay, and as they spread, okay, throughout the world, well, many Europeans simply settled there, and, well, they also imposed their religion. But the point is that the settlers simply, bred with the natives, okay, and sexuality is very powerful, okay, because through sex, okay, through sexual intercourse, one easily spreads karma, okay, and suffering and everything from their ancestors, okay, not everything, but a lot of it can easily be shared, okay. So basically, through Europeans going literally everywhere in the world and breeding, they have also brought their ancestral karma everywhere. So that is why you have the whole planet nowadays so easily stuck into these ideas that Europeans have suffered so much, Okay, and so many people are still living by these stupid, ridiculous premises that there is something conscious up there that will simply judge you. No, creation simply doesn't care how conscious or how unconscious you simply live your life. Creation is just like the mind. It simply creates based on the potential that it has. Okay, now creation can simply create, and just because it is unconscious, there is no such thing as hatred. Okay, because people can easily become through consciousness, okay, through an aspect of awareness, okay, which usually has to be low, because when you embrace separation, usually your awareness has to be very low, okay, because through low awareness, you're simply going to identify yourself with only you and your own beliefs, and well, probably and most likely some other people who share these beliefs, okay. So that is why separation exists, which means that, well, when separation exists, there is a principle called racism. Okay, now many people misuse this term because many people believe that racism is related to the concept of race. Now, racism is an aspect of silliness, okay, a childish way of thinking. Why? Because racism does not come from the term race, okay, or species, okay. No, it comes from the term race, which means to be in a race, okay. And we are also called a human race, but the big question is, where are we racing, okay? We are the supreme species on this planet because of our technology and our ability to adapt and improvise, okay, and also overcome challenges. But the point about this is, well, we are using this unconsciously because we are capable of overcoming challenges, but we are still living just like animals, okay? We are still living in a sense of constant survival. And, well, this attracts a lot of ignorance, which attracts again a lot of karma. Now, when something conscious would create, as I've been saying before in this video, there is always a certain type of pattern. When you look at creation as it is, there is no pattern because, well, only we may create patterns through our way of classifying things because, well, we classify living beings as insects, crustaceans, and, well, whatever else you want, because people who don't live life enough, they will always need classification so that they get their own sense of fulfillment, okay? Because in ignorance, people get a certain sense of fulfillment when they create a lot of classification, because through classification they have a sense that they know a lot, and through this sense that they know a lot, they have a certain sense of power, okay? That's how the mind works, okay? But the mind is made out of a lot of, layers, okay? Thousands upon thousands of layers, each more capable than the others to screw you over. And, that based on what you are feeding it with. So your classifications will easily turn against you because, well, it's never good enough. You have insects, then you have bugs, then you have specific type of bugs, and then you have species, and then you go even further, you have subspecies, okay? And then you go even further on studying different individuals of those species, right? And then it's still not enough. Right? That's the problem with the mind and the problem with unconsciousness. It's never ever gonna be enough, okay? It's an impulse to always want more because when you look outside, there is no real validation, okay? And that is one thing that it will always be paining people. There is no validation outside, only a certain sense of it, okay? And that is only a lie because you're playing a certain role that you shouldn't, and hence you're, well, the reason why you are suffering, okay? But people are embracing this suffering as the new normal, okay? Because suffering, unfortunately, has become the comfort zone of so many people because it is easy to simply suffer, okay? You don't have to do much that, well, just simply hold on to your pain and, well, just go on rather than committing to doing something which would ease the so-called pains. And again, there is this fear of doing something new because, well, when people are suffering, at least that is something that they know, right? If people feel that they suck, well, unfortunately, that is their convenience, okay? That is their comfort, okay? It is their comfort that they suck. That is why it is so hard with a lot of people to simply, you know, bring them out of those certain states, which is kind of reminiscent of one simple point. Okay, those people most likely and unfortunately they are kind of a lost cause. Okay, so unfortunately you will have to simply ditch those things, okay, those people, because there will be no point in simply trying to help them. Okay, creation simply creates. Okay, and well, there is no such thing as racism when it comes to creation. Okay, because creation simply based on its own possibilities and variables. Okay, it will simply bring into existence anything it can. Okay, because creation manifests through all possibilities. Okay, that is why there is no racism in. But some people might come actually with a question is like, but what hasn't been created yet is probably something that creation might hate, right? Because if it wouldn't hate it, it would create it much sooner, right? So don't try to make creation, you know, hateful. Okay, don't project your own limitedness on creation. Okay, the mind is represented by three chakras. Okay, creation in its entirety, okay, is represented by 114 chakras in our own body. Two are said to be outside the body, but our body, okay, is said to have 114 chakras. Okay, and the mind is only a tool of survival, so therefore is only represented by the three lower chakras of the body. So people believing that, you know, they understand the entirety of creation, okay, which means 114 chakras, okay, through just three, well, and they don't even have control over those three, well, definitely those people are cuckoo. Okay, and most likely if you're at least a bit aware, you're kind of knowledgeable already that so many people are kind of, you know, lost in their own worlds. Okay, because as I've been saying, if people seek if people think that they suck on the inside, well, they will seek validation on the outside. Okay, and since there is no validation on the outside, they won't find any validation, so they will keep constantly trying, right? Especially when you couple it with this mentality of the religions and society that they are pushed forward so hideously and brutally, like you must, everything must be done. Okay, people always get this sense that it's never enough and they have to always do more and more and more, which leads to a lot of burnout and to a lot of extra suffering. Okay, and this is just a vicious cycle. Okay, it's just a vicious cycle that goes on, and people are looking for something that doesn't exist. There is simply no validation outside of you. Okay, only some lies that you are creating, some meaning that you are creating, that, you know, you want someone. Okay, you don't uh, invite them in your life, you just want them because they're, I don't know, some kind of narcissistic supply, or there's some, you know, person that can give you a certain thing that you need. Okay, so basically people become a little bit of yanderes. Okay, they want things, okay, but they don't need those necessarily. Okay, they're just interested in the emotion that those things can give them. Okay, that's the principle of yanderes. Okay, because they're not interested in having their senpai or whatever person they theoretically fall in love with. It's just a very powerful attachment. Okay, and they're only interested in the emotion that they have, because a principle of yanderes is full unconsciousness, and in unconsciousness, as I've been saying, you're constantly ditching your emotions, so technically you're not living life at all. That is why those people actually feel blank. That is why people, you know, feel inexistent, because basically they are not existing. When you are ignoring your thoughts, your emotions, when you are ignoring life itself, you're technically dead. Okay, you're just, you know, visiting your body. Okay, you're not making use of it to make your life even more pleasant. Okay, so all these people will definitely become attached to literally the first thing, okay, that gives them at least a powerful sense of emotion. Okay, that is why serial killers are also born, right? Because unfortunately for many people, a serial killer is born because, well, the first emotion that they have is, well, an unpleasant emotion which they feel as pleasant when they kill. okay? When they kill, they feel that certain thrill, and they perceive it as good because it is finally an emotion that they feel, okay? Even if it is a destructive emotion, they embrace it because it's a first emotion that they feel. So basically it is the first slice of life that they are actually tasting, okay? And when you step from this aspect of undeath, okay, because, well, you're alive but you're dead, so you're technically an undead. When you're stepping from this curse of undead, okay, into life, and you're finally feeling a little bit of ecstasy, which are emotions, okay, having been so disconnected from yourself and your discernment, always your discernment is incapable of, uh, saying that, hey, this is a destructive emotion, okay, perhaps we should move away from it. No, people will simply be following that, okay? So now hopefully this video has been, well, in its lens, hopefully this video has been uh, eye-opening to a certain degree. I wanted to make it a part of the Wisdom Shorts, a series of videos in which I present things very shortly, but I preferred letting this just flow, and probably it felt a bit all over the place, but my mind simply functions on interconnections. So the point is, hopefully this video was um, introspective enough and eye-opening enough for you. I could simply go even more, but, well, I don't want to make hours long of um, ideas and speeches and seminars. So the point is, I will simply hold the video in here. You simply have to not worry about anything. You are simply appreciated and you are also loved. You have to understand that there is no white bearded fuck out there that will simply judge you, because, as I've been saying, creation is fully unconscious, okay? So stop being such a loser when it comes to thinking all these pathetic thoughts, and actually they're becoming excuses to fight against your own success and your own well-being, okay? Because again, you are afraid of taking the responsibilities to make your life better so that you become successful and therefore happy, okay? And you're creating all sorts of these ideas, okay, even guided to a certain extent by religion, but, well, it only has a certain influence. The problem is you're becoming identified with those influences, and you embrace them willingly just so that you don't take responsibility for your life and make it much better than it currently is. Okay, so the problem which stems from that is, well, it's not the fault of religion, it's how it is presented to you and then how you identify with it, okay? Because again, even religion and the Bible say together that, hey, you can't blame demons, okay, for things that you are doing, because in the end, you're the one who takes up the acts, okay? Or, well, what you were tempted to do, you are the one who takes the action. So going even further, the point is, God simply doesn't want to see you so pathetic, okay? So much fighting against your own self. So you're all loved and appreciated. Take care of yourselves, and, well, you're loved and appreciated. Hugs, stay awesome, and also don't forget to live bright, okay? Ferenc Board signing out.